We back in the lab, we making some noise, so go turn your decibels up. Black skin, white coat, oh no, who was nice as us? Made Jimison, really told us no limit, so we about to take this up. Went from mixing in the kitchen to the lab, and now I can make this up. Whoa! B-SCI, be scientist, B-SCI, be scientist. We shining a light on the people of color to show them how fly it is. B-SCI, be scientist, B-SCI, be scientist. We back in the lab with white coats on our back, trying to show what time it is. Hey!
And welcome back to the B-Science podcast by the Black Science Coalition Institute, or B-SCI. When you hear this noise, that is our in-podcast citation. So please head over to b-sci.org/bscientist to see all of our citations ever. I am geoarchaeologist Jordan Chapman, and as always, we have the dope chemist herself,
Jana Carpenter.
And today we're bringing you science news. But before we do, we want to give a shout out to our first ever sponsor of the podcast. We have a B Silver sponsor, Community Initiatives. Thanks to your donation to Be Scientist and B-SCI. We will be using that donation to do improvements to our audio and video stuff, and also try to get our Be Scientist initiative really off the ground. So we really thank you for sending us that donation. We are very happy to have you as a sponsor. We appreciate it. And if you would like to be one of our sponsors, please head over to b-sci.org/donate or go to the sponsorship tiers page, and you will be able to see all of the sponsorship tier levels. But with all that said, again, thank you. And Jenna, what's going on?
Yeah, first of all, I also just want to say thank you. What an amazing start to our August. I'm so excited to get some of these projects off the ground. So I also just want to say thank you. And of course, now it's time to dig into the news.
Mm-hmm.
News is always so much fun, isn't it?
It's looking I don't want to say.
Yeah, okay, I'll say it. All right. Okay.
All right.
I'll just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Okay, here we go. The new dominant strain for COVID-19, as I'm sure you've heard by now, is the Delta variant.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this mean? Okay, there's a lot of things to unpack, so just try to stick with me.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of
trying.
I know, right? I'm trying to stick with me.
I'm trying.
So there's so many different variants, and so what we need to understand first is, what does it mean? Why do we have a new Delta variant, and why do I care? I'm vaccinated. Why should I care? Okay, that's a great question. We'll try to
fair question.
So you have to think about the virus as like a tree, right? So you have the base of this virus growing, and over time, you can think of the virus growing with branches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each branch is a different variant.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it first started growing, back when we heard about it in January 2020, we had the most dominant strain, which was the Alpha variant.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, as time grew on, the virus itself started to mutate once it got comfortable in our immune system, and it was like, oh, this is what your immune system looks like. I'm going to change a little bit so that now I can be more effective as a virus.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have a new branch, right? And this tree is just a growing.
Tree of life.
Tree of life and death, unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, now that we have the Delta variant, which if you took Greek or suffered through math, you would know that it's just progression of really a numeric progression. I still hate Greek letters. I just can't do it, but
and they're all named. I think I've seen there's like a lambda one, a gamma one.
Yeah.
You said alpha earlier. There's a couple of Greek letters out there.
So like alpha, beta, delta, lambda. So the CDC and the WHO organization, which is the World Health Organization, and the CDC being the Center for Disease Control, have both recognized the Delta variant as the most dominant strain currently in the US. And so I did mention on the last episode that we talked about this Delta variant, that it originated from India. That was false. My apologies. We're not perfect, and that's okay.
No. We're scientists.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm so always willing to correct and accept criticism. And so This variant actually emerged from the UK. And so we did see the most cases happening once it arrived in the US, arriving in Arkansas and parts of Massachusetts. And now it's all over the place. And if you can think about reasons why, all you have to do is look at the history of this entire virus from last year. There really are a lot of compounding issues surrounding why it's growing so rapidly. And the first is because it's so easily transmissible. It's actually twice as easily transmissed, I guess you could say, as the alpha variant, which was the previously dominant variant. And so we have a highly contagious, even more highly contagious virus just out here getting people left and right. But the worst part is, even if you are vaccinated, we're now seeing that there are breakthrough cases of the virus happening in people who are vaccinated. Now, I'm saying a lot of things, and I get that, but like, what I want to say next is super important. Even though there are breakthrough cases happening, this doesn't mean that the vaccine is ineffective. I want to say that one more time because I think people are getting that mixed up.
Jenna, please tell the people why they still need to get vaccinated.
You really need to get vaccinated because your body needs to recognize what this virus looks like, and it needs to be able to shed this virus so that you don't end up with a more severe case of COVID, which, as a person who has had COVID, I'm okay with saying that. It is pretty terrible, okay? You don't want this virus. I'm telling you right now. All of the symptoms, you will have them, but worse, okay? If you haven't had the vaccine, it will be so much worse because this new virus, or not this new virus anymore, but this new variant of the virus can cause even more serious, the severity of the virus to increase in your body. So really, you need this vaccine, I'm telling you.
You need the vaccine.
Unless you're ready to end up in the hospital, because really what we're seeing is a huge spike increase of hospitalizations due to COVID. And there are actually ways to check your local hospital status to see if your hospital is reaching capacity. Not necessarily due to COVID cases, but just in general, you can see that ICU units are starting to fill up again. ICU, my apologies, are starting to fill up again like they were in the very beginning of COVID. Right. So you can go to georgiarcc.org to check your local status at your hospital to see if they are reaching capacity and what the severity of like beds filling up are like, because it's happening all over again.
Right.
Oh no.
That's good for That's good for Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we live in the one state where things happen a little bit slower than other places. But at the end of the day, I really need people to understand that science changes every day with this virus, and it's no fault to the public health experts who are telling you, hey, things have changed since last week because things are getting worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can only keep up with the science as it's happening. And so, yeah, people are mandating mask wearing again. And this is good because we know that wearing masks help to decrease the amount of transmission between people. Yes, we know that social distancing helps with decreasing the amount of transmission between people. And that's okay. You know, like I know we just got super comfortable being within precedented times again, but you have to take into account that science is always changing and we have to keep up with it, and we have to listen to these experts because they know what's best. They're in this position for a reason. So
they know more than YouTube user number 7.
Yeah.
Like, they just do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like it's not just based on nothingness. Like for example, like the WHO organization, that's kind of a double. I'm just being redundant now. Who?
That's fine. I got what you meant.
Right? Like, oh God, words are hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that WHO is tracking these changes and figuring out, okay, which variant is becoming more prominent, how do we address these issues, is they actually look at how, like, the building blocks of these viruses. How are amino acids changing? How is the covering of the virus becoming more transmissible through cell membrane? But anyway, yeah, that's a thing now, and it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, man, I mean, there's also just like I understand like how the rate at which things have changed over the last year and change is crazy. Like we went from this is just some novel thing to this is now spreading across the world to it's to things like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, to we don't need to wear masks, not everyone needs to wear a mask, to everyone needs to wear a mask, to there's a vaccine, to we don't know what the vaccine does, to some people from certain, like it's been a lot.
Yeah,
But
but
like that's science. I know that is I know. I think people think science as a definite, like if a science, and that is our fault as scientists, as trying to use science as a trump card to everything. It's not a trump card. It really is supposed to be a tool to express uncertainty. Like
and
we're not
communication has
in
never
communication.
been like a strong suit for the
Mm-mm.
scientific community, which is something that I think we're trying to address.
We're trying to address it, right? But it's fair. You know, I think all the concerns are fair, but I don't. But we have to be vigilant in that. That we have to understand the science is like it's changing. Like it's changing all the time. It's like
Like you've heard the song "The Times Are Changing." Like you were okay
yeah,
with it then. Like what happened?
right. It's everything's changing. Like I understand you. Like people are like, I don't know what the vaccine's putting into my body. Get all that, but like I mean, there are a
Like
lot
you
of
can look
things.
up what the ingredients are in the
Yeah.
vaccine, and it's nothing that looks crazy or super new. Like I
Hmm.
promise, it's really not as crazy as people think it is.
And I will restate again that one of the leading scientists in helping to create this vaccine, was a black woman. Like if that's, I really hope
Oh,
that
I'm
people
sorry. Could you say
understand
that one more time? Because I
a
don't think.
black woman
Oh, a black woman. Okay, okay.
basically saving the world again.
Because like I was back here in the back, and like I
Mhm.
don't think they could hear it, but
right.
yeah.
For the people in the back, it's black woman again.
Oh,
Damn.
okay, okay, okay. I
Sheesh.
got you that time. Cool,
Every time.
cool.
Man, that's crazy. Like just I just don't understand, Jenna. Like how, like I mean, you know, it's crazy. Like at least put your faith in that person, please. Like put your faith in that, like, and that we like what hurts to me sometimes about like all these conspiracy theories about not even just COVID but other stuff is like there are black people in these fields who would like go to war for you guys to make sure that like nothing bad happened and things don't get out of hand, and like you just got to have some faith. And I mean, to be fair, like you're sitting here like Jordan Chapman, but you're one of those scientists, and it's like that's fair, but there are way better scientists than me.
Oh,
So
come on.
like just let those scientists, like let them do their job. Let those be the ones who like go to them when you need to know something.
And
Like don't.
this is also why we are encouraging you to be scientists, because if you don't
Yes.
trust them, go out there and do the work. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like be who you want to see in these fields.
Right.
So there's I promise you there is nothing stopping you.
Again, if I'm here, then then I just don't understand. That's it. That's all. Like, if I'm here right now, then it can't be that hard to understand some of this stuff. I understand it can be a challenge, but I got through it, and so I can have complete faith in you, dear listener, that you could definitely get through it.
Yeah, like trust me, each day we are trying to grow ourselves into becoming these experts that people will rely on for information. I promise you, a lot of hard work goes into what these people do. I promise. I promise. A
Hmm.
lot of sleepless nights, a lot of emotional
Yeah.
toil of like just wanting to be the best you can be for the greater good for humanity. That's what these people are doing. Like, that's their
That's what
job.
they're doing. That's their job. That's their job. That's their job, Jenna.
Yeah. And I know people are thinking like, oh, well, the CDC just keeps changing things. Well, when we didn't have to wear masks indoors and in crowded spaces if you were vaccinated, that was because at the time it was still the alpha variant that was the most dominant. But they changed it because guess what? The delta variant became dominant. And they had to switch it up because that's a different version of this virus. It's got a whole new set of playing, like a
Right.
whole new playing field with this virus.
And like Jenna just said a few moments ago, it's not like the vaccine is just not effective against the Delta variant. It's still somewhat effective against preventing
highly
transition.
effective.
So like, what are we? It's you have to please get vaccinated. It's what the bottom. Please get vaccinated and please wear your mask.
Please. And if you are deciding not to get vaccinated on your own volition, at least wear a mask.
At least wear a mask.
And don't go around people if you feel like you're ill.
Yeah.
Like, that's as simple as it gets. If you don't want to protect yourself with the vaccine and you just want to go out here breathing people's air unsafely, you do that. But you do it at your own distance. Like,
and please try not to go to concerts.
That would be great. That would be great.
Like, yeah, okay, like maybe you could do small gatherings, but concerts are risky. Like, remember when this whole thing first started and we had the whole list of things that you might not want to do? Like, you should maybe look at that list again.
Yeah. And I'm thinking specifically of, I know Lollapalooza just happened.
Yeah, exactly.
That was all in my timeline.
That's crazy.
I was like, oh my God, I've never seen that many people in years.
And I'm now that you listen, people in Philly, like, listen, I know Made in America is about to happen. It's happening I think in September at some point on the Parkway. Don't go on the Parkway that crazy, because I've been on the Parkway where like I know what happens on the park. Don't be out there acting crazy. Like, just stay home. Honestly, I know I don't know who's going to be there this year. I'm sure it's going to be a great lineup. I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe Lil Nas X is there. I don't know. But please don't go out and act crazy on the Parkway this year. I'm just asking. Please don't do that.
That was a quick PSA from Jordan.
Yeah, come on, Philly. What's going on?
And also, like, I know Afropunk, they're thinking about or starting up events again. Just anything, really. Look, I love being with my people. I love celebrating and like being myself and like going to festivals. I love that stuff. But it's just not safe. It's really not. I promise you.
Once we figure this out, it'll be safe one day.
Yeah, it will be there when everything is safe.
When everything's safe.
If there's $1 to be made, I promise it's going to be there.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So,
if it's gonna make money, it'll come back.
Yeah.
Like, the movies came back. That's still kind of iffy.
Yeah.
But if it came back, I mean, like, look how fast they were ready to get you back into them.
Exactly.
They're gonna be ready to get you back into the festival.
Exactly.
But you have to wear a mask and please get vaccinated.
Yep. I'm gonna try not to harp on it too much, but I think it's important to understand what's going on with it and why maybe this change of information is kind of scary and hard to understand. But just do your own research. The research is there. The CDC is always updating their website with new guidelines. And this is just something that we have to be vigilant about. This is how scientists operate on a daily basis. We see new data and we adapt. So I see nothing different happening. Now we all just need to start being scientists.
Just be scientists. Like, the message is very clear.
Yeah. If the CDC wants to sponsor us, more than
that
welcome.
would be. Listen, CDC, we could use the money.
Listen.
You could definitely be a sponsor, CDC. I don't know who you need to talk to, but like, hey, we're right here.
Exactly. And if you need a scientist, call me. Okay. Did you want to talk about something, Jordan?
Speaking of adaptation, as you all know, climate change is a real thing. And this past week, the IPCC, or the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is a UN program, United Nations, released their sixth report on climate change. It was a 42-page report that detailed some of the actions that might be necessary to combat climate change. And the point of this report is to inform all governments of the world to like what kind of climate policies they might put in place.
And things
For
are
that
looking
report to
really
even,
good, right?
yeah, things are looking
Okay,
amazing.
good.
Like basically they're saying we need to change what we're doing right now if we're going to even have like a fighting chance against trying to stop climate change and start trying to stop all of the very dire impacts that could happen to various like pretty much all parts of the globe. As I'm sure you know, like each year we found out that that past year has been one of the hottest years on record. That goes into this. For them to even release this report, 195 countries have to agree on it, which means that they tend to be on the more conservative side of things. Like they're like, oh, well, we don't want to just jump. They don't want to say anything that's not affecting everyone. But this time they were like, no, everybody needs to step it up. Like, and not tomorrow, right now,
Dang.
because they're not even talking about climate change as something that's going to happen in a couple of years. They're talking about something that's happening right now. Climate change is at our doorstep. We need to make real big changes if we're going to have a chance against climate change. Basically, it's what their message pretty much was.
But Jordan, I love fossil fuels.
I mean,
I love making emissions. It's my life's goal.
But there's clean energy out there. There's green energy. We could use that.
Clean energy? You mean there's a way to do this cleanly?
Yes, pretty much.
And it would create jobs?
And it will
That's
create jobs.
crazy.
Yes, it'll spark science. It'll spark scientific endeavors. People who haven't done science before will get a chance to do science. It will be great. It could be the way we change the world. It could be the way we save the world. But again, we need to be scientists. It's like, why is it so hard? What's going on, guys?
It could all be so simple. It really could.
It really could.
Only people
But
cared about
if only people cared.
anything other than themselves. It really is all it takes.
That's what it comes down to. I think I saw a think piece about this. I don't remember from where, but basically, part of it is like, well, we have tried to put all of these initiatives on the individual. Like, oh, you need to like save water. You need to cut down on your CO2 emissions. You need to do this. You need to do that. But it's not really put onto these big governments that much. And that's part of the problem is that it's like, oh, well, it's going to be net zero. But it's like, that's not enough to like, that's not enough anymore. Like that might have been the case 20, 30 years ago. But in that 20, 30-year time, like, so actually this IPCC was created in 1988. And they've released 5 other reports before this one that just came out a couple days ago. That was their 6th one.
Wow.
They released 5 other ones between 1988 and 2021. And like, yeah, people have definitely important people have come to the consensus that climate change is real, but important people have not done enough to curb the negative impacts of climate change. Like, it's not too different from even thinking about like the virus in some ways. Climate change is something that's always going to be happening. It has always been happening. Like the weather or the climate that was happening 1,000 years ago was changing from what it was 1,000 years before that, and 1,000 years before. Like there has been points when the Earth has pretty much been just ice. There have been points even now where it has been a lot warmer. It's going to keep changing. It's going to be different in 100, 1,000 years. But here, the difference here is that these are human caused impacts. These are things that we have done. These are things that we can also manage, but we have to be vigilant and make sure that we know what we're doing when we're doing it, that we're being accountable for the things we're doing, and we're just not being shitty. It's really not that hard.
It's really not. And honestly, I looked at like just the first few statements of like, summary articles from like NPR and stuff like that on
Hmm.
this report. And they all kind of sound like a call out post from the IPCC. They're just like, yo, this is on y'all. Like all y'all.
All y'all did this, like in the UN, like in the UN building, like y'all did that. We didn't.
Exactly.
Y'all did that.
Or like I feel like also like when you get sent home with like a note and it's like you need to give this to your parent, you're in
Like a
trouble.
demerit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble. But the trouble is we could like die.
The trouble is that we could dodge.
so
That's a
so
big way to say
actually,
it.
so if I'm being honest, it is a lot like my childhood, but
Yeah.
let me
No.
let me chill, let me chill.
Though to be fair, my mom would not have wanted me to come home with a demerit.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
think she.
no.
No.
No, nah.
I mean, I did, and she was not happy to it. I
No.
cannot imagine. No, we don't need to talk about those
No,
things.
no, it's
You really
fine.
need to go back to those places.
No, 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 please God no. But seriously, this is something we need to take serious. This is the whole point of the Paris Climate Agreement, which I know is super controversial if you're
Hmm.
conservative or whatever, but like this
Hmm.
is something that's like beyond that. This is something that has to do with humanity and how we interact with our environment, you
Yeah,
know? Like this is literally, like I know I'm joking about it, but this is a humanitarian issue
it
as
is.
well as a global issue because and I know it sucks because it's like, okay, a lot of this is stemming from systems of oppression. Let's just call it what it is.
Sure.
I'm trying to find other words, but really that's what it is because all of these huge corporations are creating huge amounts of emissions and polluting the earth with all of the waste that comes from these huge plants, right?
Hmm.
And so then it becomes a compounding issue because, okay, now we don't have clean water and clean
Yeah,
fish that we're
clean
eating and stuff like
water.
that. And of
Yeah,
course,
food
like,
sources,
yeah, food sources are now getting tainted with pollutants. But on
air
top of that,
quality.
air quality is all messed up. Smog, like if you live in
Hmm.
these big cities, you can tell a huge difference just like an
Yeah.
hour away from Atlanta. You can actually see the sky. Like
Hmm.
imagine
Hmm.
that. But it's just like there's only so much an individual can do on top of what these huge systems of oppression, these corporations,
Yeah.
they need to own up to their incorporation into this whole mess because
Yes.
we're just individuals and we can do what we can and we should, but really it falls back onto these huge corporations. They need to be
Yeah.
making major changes and putting money where their mouth is.
They need to be pressured into doing that from the government because, like, like right now, if one person, like, let's say you and your house were like, hey, I want to get solar panels. I'm going to like just compost everything in my house. I'm gonna recycle everything, and not even like, oh, I'm gonna put it outside for like the recycling people to come. I'm gonna recycle everything in my house. I'm gonna use every can that comes from the grocery store. I'm gonna put stuff in that. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna store it. That would not if like 10 people got in like your neighborhood did that. That would not be if your whole city decided to do that. That'd be great, but that wouldn't even be enough at this point. Like it needs to be your whole country. And even then, most of the things we're seeing, like in terms of like human impact to climate, is from like 2 or 3 major countries. And guess what? You're living in one of those major countries. So you need to put pressure on your government, aka United States government, and go, hey, we need to do something about this as not tomorrow, today. So that is another call to get out and vote regularly, even at the local level. Local level, make sure you get out and vote. State level, make sure you get out and vote. Federal level, definitely make sure you get out and vote.
Yes.
Get out and vote.
Seriously. And as we all know, voting, the election cycle is coming back up again.
Mm-hmm.
Elections never stop with just the presidential one. So you need to
Nope.
check wherever you live. Please check your voting status, number one. And you need to check out what elections are coming up because
Mm-hmm.
it's not just every 4 years. I know
It's not
that's a
every
shocker
4 years.
to some people,
Right.
but yeah, no, for real. It's real. You need to check it
Mm-hmm.
out because this is how we build our communities the way we want them to be built.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it really starts at those small governmental levels, and it compounds on top of that. So stay on top of it. We love voting. We love to see it.
Yes, we definitely do. Also, along with that, there's the Dixie Fire that is currently going on in California, which is right along with what we're talking about with these human behavior and climate change impacts. Because the Dixie Fire has been burning in California today is August 9th, sorry. Today is August 9th. And it's been burning since July 13th. That is...
Wait, that's a month ago.
It's about a month ago. That's crazy. And it's not even fully contained yet. Only like 21% of it has been contained. It's destroyed 400 structures in California.
Oh my God.
Several counties have been evacuated under fire, and it's burned about 500,000 acres. And it might not be fully contained until August 20th. And that's from an NPR article. So,
Wow.
Climate change, even in California, because California is actually one of the greenest states in the country. And it's also one of the most progressive states in the country. And you can see how that status is not enough to change this. And in the fire itself, there's like some speculation about who started the fire. Some are saying it might have been a local power company, but either way, the reason it's the second largest fire in the state is because of human environmental impacts. So,
Man.
yeah.
Yeah, and like I know there's gonna be someone out there who's like, oh, but prescribed burns are a thing. Yeah, they're a thing, but they don't consume hundreds of thousands of acres just out of nowhere. Like it's
Right.
usually a pretty contained, pretty specific area, if I'm not wrong. And so, like for it to be like not contained, that's concerning because usually prescribed burns, they happen for a reason and they can be
Yeah.
contained.
I think some of them are to prevent future forest fires too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like just because like sometimes like like the detritus on the forest floor, like we burn this now, then it won't. If there is a fire in the future, then it won't be as bad.
Right.
But yeah, that comes down to forest management and stuff like that. I don't know too much. I don't know anything about forest management. I just know that's the idea.
Yeah, agreed. And like this is not my area of expertise at all. But I will say that definitely they don't get paid enough.
No, probably not. I highly doubt it. I also did not do a lot of research on this, but there's also a fire going on right now in Greece. I don't know how bad that one is. I just know I saw pictures of it, and it looks like they were like evacuating people from a huge fire that was raging on like a mountainside, and there were shades of Pompeii in that picture. And like that's if you know about Pompeii, you're like, well, that's that's not what you want to be seeing in 2021,
No,
right?
not
After
at all.
last year, guys,
God,
you don't want to see anything like that.
that's just crazy. There's just fires everywhere.
There's literally and figuratively, apparently, so many fires to put out. Some of them you just need to put a mask on for it, but whatever, I guess.
Yeah, that's way too hard. Sorry, did I say it's too hard? Because it's really
Apparently,
not. It's really easy. Just wear a mask.
yeah. It's. I knew what you meant.
Yeah,
Some
the
people are gonna
sarcasm is very
disagree.
real today.
It's
So
because we're so frustrated.
it is super frustrating. Yeah. It just sucks because all of this misinformation is creating a culture of like not trusting science. And it's like, hey, I would love to not be invalidated for the work that I do. So if you could just not, that would be great.
That's a great point, actually. Like, I don't go to you don't go to other people's shops and go like, what's a great example? We don't go to Wall Street all the time and go, you guys don't know how to make money. Like, that's
Exactly.
like, we don't do that. So why, like, what's going on here? Like, that's not fair.
Honestly, like, I'm not going to go to a construction site and be like, actually, the way you're building that is
Yeah.
incorrect. Because they'll look at me like I'm crazy because at that point I'll agree with them because what am I saying? But yeah, like I don't know how to construct a building. What do I look like to you? An engineer? No.
Right. An engineer.
I am not that.
That is a great example because like you don't do that, Jenna. Like
Yeah,
engineers are
no.
like, what are you doing? Like, can you explain? Like, if you can't explain the math and the physics to an engineer, then why can't you explain the biology and chemistry to a doctor?
Exactly. Like, if you really can explain everything that well, why aren't you a scientist already?
Then why aren't you a scientist
What are you
already?
waiting for? Nothing is
You
holding you back.
like it's like you're sitting on that much information and you are just posting YouTube videos about it. It's like
Come
what's
on.
your problem? Like
You could be helping
that
the greater good.
yeah, exactly. Ah,
But now you got to do it for the likes,
for the subscriptions, hit the bell.
for the subscription bells.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mm-mm-mm. What a world, Jenna.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I could be out of this world.
Mhm. Speaking of out of this world,
What? Was that a segue?
what a segue.
Smooth.
Man, that was alley oop for sure. um, this past week, I guess, NASA's Perseverance actually had a little hiccup. The robot mechanisms for Perseverance actually kind of malfunctioned, or they thought they collected some samples, but when they checked the tubes for the samples, they were not there. They think it's because the rock did not react like they thought it was going to react while they were trying to core for the sample, and they think it's most likely. So they think it's the sample. It's a sample with it's a problem with the sample and not the hardware. But they will spend the next few days trying to figure out, trying to piece together the data they do have, and what went wrong during that collection process.
And you're sure
So
it's not Martian?
we don't think it's Martian.
Okay.
There's a lot of things going on right now. We don't think it's Martians, but at this point, who knows, Jenna? Maybe it's a variant of another god, and we just don't know.
uh, yeah, like I was telling you before we started, like I've lost plenty of samples in my lifetime. I promise. But
Yeah,
I never did it on Mars. You
never
know what I'm
did on
saying?
Mars.
I feel like
Nope.
I would be like, Houston, we do have a problem and I'm sorry. And I will take my leave
Hmm.
and here are my 2 weeks because this job is hard,
Being a scientist can be hard, but we do it, and
but we do
anyone
it.
can do it.
We do it anyway because it's
Hmm.
it's it's good for humanity.
Good for humanity.
I wish more people thought like that. It's cool.
It's fine. We'll get to those people eventually. I hope. But yeah, I mean, there's always a lot of science news going on. Yeah, those are the ones that have been catching our attention. Some of them are super important and are just dominating the news cycle right now. One that I'm surprised I haven't really heard that much about is the hurricane season. But maybe we
Yeah.
just got too much on our plate right now.
You know,
Maybe that's the real reason.
yeah, all these news anchors are like, okay, how much do you think they can handle today?
Mhm.
Because I have this hurricane, and they're like, no, 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 no,
Nah, no, not yet, not
not
yet.
yet, not yet.
Just wait until it gets close to Florida, and then we'll see what we're going to do about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It's crazy because any other year besides 2020 and this year,
Hmm.
that's all you would like. That's what I looked
Yeah,
forward to in the news because I'm like, okay, do we need to like evacuate? Like, what's happening this week? What new
right.
hurricane is coming my way? And now it's like, yeah, a hurricane is coming, but also
Hmm. A
hundreds of
hurricane's coming.
thousands die.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands died, and human caused climate change stuff. Or hey, there's a new virus, there's a new variant. It's like, wow, what?
Wow,
Can we go back to hurricane season?
like that used to be the scariest thing that would happen.
Speaking of which, I was in Philly back home like 2 weeks ago, and there was a county. I forget the name of the county right now, but there was a tornado. And I'm sure there are people in like the South that are like, we do tornadoes for breakfast. And I say, first of all, you guys don't do blizzards for breakfast. So there's that. But we don't get tornadoes up north. And then it actually touched down and then, like took down a couple of structures. And we were all in Philadelphia like, wow, we get earthquakes and tornadoes in
Oh no.
this century. Apparently it's so again, I don't want tornadoes in Philly, so you guys better pick it up with this climate change stuff.
Yeah, the last I checked, Philly is not the Midwest.
Mm-mm,
So
mm-mm.
what is happening?
Like I said, blizzards, and maybe like we get like the remains of like a hurricane, but tornadoes, that's oof. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's scary out here. So I just encourage everyone to be safe and just listen to the scientists. I promise you, This is not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that we're being funded by, like, big medicine,
Now go
first
ahead
of
and
all,
say it. Lizard people. That's who we're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah. If you think like the lizard people are funding us, let me tell you right now, if they were, this podcast would have a higher production value instead of me messing up the audio. So I would tell you that. That's not happening though. So we're not getting that. We're not getting that type of funding.
Yeah, I wish I would. You know how much paint is peeling off of my car right now on a daily basis? Like
Right.
every day I look at it and I'm like, wow, you really are peeling off my car right now. That's cool. Anyway, I don't have $500, so I'm gonna just let you chill with that.
Yeah.
No, no, I promise.
Yeah, we're not getting lizard people money. I can tell you that right now.
Nah.
But that is the life of a scientist. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like,
Yeah.
we struggle.
That's a great point, actually. Just to drive home the fact that we don't get paid a lot, because I love talking about this.
Yeah.
Scientists don't get paid a lot. Did you know that?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's like some do, but not
do,
all of us. It's
but
like not. I don't.
majority
It's
of
not
us?
even over. It's like it's not over 50% for sure.
No, we're all just out here trying to make it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Graduate student salaries are not like, we are not out here driving Rolls Royces or anything.
No,
So
no.
I can promise you, we're not just out here doing it for the money or for the clout.
No. It's definitely it's a passion thing, people. This is passion. Like, you see what we're going through right now. This is passion. We talk about grad school almost every episode. You can see how much of a struggle it is. This is passion.
With tears
this is
in our eyes,
with a lot of
we
tears.
still do it. We still do
Right.
it because we know it's the right thing to do.
Man, speaking of which, school's starting up soon, guys. So yeah, that's a thing that's happening.
That is happening. A new
so
year.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's a new year, a new school year.
New school year.
Even though, this variant is raging, a lot of things are happening in person. So I think exercise caution and listen to the CDC guidelines. Being in public spaces right now is kind of risky. Please wear a mask when you can.
Wear a mask.
Because I was just in a classroom today with 66 desks, and that room ain't that big. And so just think about that as you start the school year, but also take time for yourself, because I know this is a lot of information to take in, and it's a lot of things that you have to do to be careful and like take care of yourself. But really, you have to like find your center, be patient with yourself, because these are really crazy times that we are living in. You really have to take it one day at a time. So cannot stress that enough. And also, conference season is about to ramp up. So
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. So just a couple things to think about.
Though, like we've talked about with Black and X this past year, a lot of them are online these days. Though that is a big source of money for a lot of like science organization. So we'll see how that goes. Considering how things are going right now. It could be maybe in the next couple of weeks, as people really start realizing just how bad this Delta variant is, that maybe we kind of hunker down again like we were kind of doing last year. Not necessarily like in terms of like maybe we go back into lockdown. That's up in the air now. But mostly that people will start being like, oh, I need to wear a mask again. And hopefully that helps a little bit, but we shall see.
And if we do go back into a lockdown, do not let toilet paper be the first thing you buy. That's the last time I'm saying this. Oh my God.
And leave the yeast alone. I need to make pizza. Gosh, sheesh.
Like, I need my sourdough too. God.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But as the school year starts up again, we are still of course, we are looking for ways to make B-Scientists a fabulous podcast. We were just discussing some potential guests to have on the show. Those would be cool people to have. And we also talked about having deep dives. This is something that we kind of played around with at the very beginning of Be Scientists. You guys might remember we did an episode on conspiracy theories. We also did the Black Mirror episode, which is still one of my favorite ones, to be honest.
And the misinformation.
Yeah, so like we're thinking about ways to do that again, but those require a little bit more work than like these are like science update podcasts, and definitely more work than when we have guests on, because usually when we have guests on, we just let them talk. So
and it's great because they say amazing things, and I'm just
they say amazing things
in awe.
They say amazing things, and then we just sit back and we're like, yeah, we just ask questions. Like, and it's easy to have questions, honestly, but the deep dives require us to like, you know, actually go do research on top of the other research we're already doing as grad students. So that gets to be a little bit hectic sometimes, which is really the big reason why we haven't really done. But we are thinking about really starting to do those again. We have a couple of ideas for episodes that we might do for our deep dive episodes, but you can send us some suggestions. You can go to contact. You can send us an email at contact us at thebsci.org, which that would be a big help. You can also just go to our website and go to the submissions form. It's in a bunch of places on the website. There's like one on like the main page. I think there's one on the About Us page. You can find it in some places. But that's one way you can do it. Or you just hit us up on social media, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, I was just thinking like we might just ask you directly on our Instagram. Hey, what do you think about this topic? What are your thoughts on it?
I like that idea, actually.
Yeah, because this is not just for us, because we do enjoy doing deep dives, and it's always interesting to learn about something new that we might not know a whole lot about. But this is also for you, right? Like, this is content for you. So we definitely want to hear from you and what you want to learn about, because we are willing to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been kind of low-key yelling at people this whole episode about encouraging people to be scientists, but we also want to be scientists with you, which is why we're yelling, because we're so passionate about it. So if we can, you know, learn about new stuff together, like, which is really the point of all this, like learning new stuff with Jenna, learning new stuff with you guys. Like, hey, you know, why not just send us some stuff? Like, hey, we don't know a lot about most things, so just send us some things to think about.
Exactly. Yeah, and as always, we want to encourage you to be scientists.
Right. So, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Why am I like this?
Be Scientist is a podcast by the Black Science Coalition and Institute, or B-SCI, a 501c3 nonprofit. Be Scientist is hosted by both Jenna Carpenter, chemist and B-SCI's Research and Development Officer, and Jordan Chapman, geoarchaeologist and B-SCI's president. Music is produced by Delaralo, and lyrics are by Ed Gunner. Special thanks to Michael, Mike, Cast, and Marshall, and the Plaza Abbey Studios. If you'd like to donate to B-SCI, visit our official website, bsci.org. That's b-sci.org. Your donation supports Be Scientist and B-SCI's other projects. We couldn't do it without you. So please tune in next time, and always be scientists.